Today, we're cracking open a book that has been creating millionaires since 1937. It's Napoleon Hill's classic Think and Grow Rich. Now, Hill spent over 2 decades studying more than 500 of the wealthiest people of his time. I'm talking about legends like Andrew Carnegie and Henry Ford, all to find a single powerful formula for success. And spoiler alert, it goes way beyond just making money. So let's dive in.
What if the real gap between wealth and poverty wasn't about your job or your education or who you know? What if it all came down to something happening inside your own head? That's the radical idea this book starts with, that the world you see around you is just a mirror, reflecting the thoughts you hold inside. And this quote right here, this is the core of it all. Hill's big argument is that wealth isn't something you go out and find. It's something you build first in your mind. Now, this is way more than just thinking positive. It's about cultivating a mindset so focused, so powerful, that it actually forces your dreams into reality. Sounds a little crazy, right? Well, let's see how it actually works.
To prove this isn't just some abstract theory, Hill kicks things off with a story. It's about a man who literally thought his way into becoming a business partner with one of the greatest inventors ever, the one and only Thomas Edison. Meet Edwin C. Barnes. This guy was starting from less than zero. He had no money. In fact, he was so broke he had to sneak onto a freight train just to get to Edison's laboratory.
And he definitely had no connections. He didn't know Edison from a hole in the wall, and frankly, he showed up looking more like a drifter than a future business partner. By any logical measure, he had absolutely no shot. So what did he have going for him? It wasn't experience, it wasn't a fancy degree, it was a single, intense, unshakable asset that was all in his mind. He had what Hill calls a burning desire. And listen, this wasn't some casual wish like, oh, it'd be nice to work with Edison. No, this was a white-hot obsession. In his mind, he wasn't just going to work with Edison, he was already his partner. He held on to that one single thought with such intensity that there was simply no room for any other possibility. And that was his secret weapon. Okay, so having a burning desire sounds amazing, but how do you actually create one? Well, Hill says it's not just a feeling you hope for, it's a process. He actually breaks it down into a concrete 6-step formula that turns a vague dream into a definite reality. Now, this isn't just some motivational to-do list, it's basically a blueprint for your brain. Step 1 forces you to be specific. No more vague wishes. Step 2 is about value. You've got to give something to get something. But the real magic happens in steps 3 through 6. By setting a deadline, making a plan, writing it down, and reading it out loud every single day, you're doing more than just organizing your thoughts. You're actually programming your subconscious mind to obsess over this goal 24/7. But here's the thing. You can have the most burning desire in the world and the most perfect plan, but there's one giant obstacle that stops almost everybody. That feeling of temporary defeat. That moment you hit a wall and everything in you screams to just quit. To show why pushing through is so critical, Hill tells one of the most famous stories in the whole book. So picture this. It's the gold rush. A guy, R.U. Darby's uncle, stakes a claim, works his tail off for weeks, and then success. He hits a shining vein of gold ore. He thought he was set for life. He started drilling like crazy, pulling up the ore, but then, poof, the vein just disappeared. He kept digging, searching, but nothing. He got frustrated, then discouraged, then totally defeated. Finally, he did what many of us would do. He just quit. He sold all his equipment to a local junk man for a few $100 and went home with his tail between his legs. But here's the crazy twist. The junk man who bought the machinery, he was a little curious. So before he scrapped everything, he decided to hire a mining engineer to take a look. And you know what the expert found? The gold vein hadn't disappeared. There was just a fault line. The gold was still there, just 3 feet from where the uncle had stopped digging. That junk man went on to make millions from that mine. This story taught Darby a lesson that he never forgot. Sometimes success is disguised as failure. What looks like a dead end might just be a sharp turn you didn't see coming. This quote says it all. Failure isn't final, it's feedback. It's a signal telling you to get a new plan or maybe get some expert advice, because you never ever know if you're just 3 feet from gold. So if persistence is that important, what's stopping us?
Hill argues it's not usually the external problems. It's our own internal demons. He pinpointed 6 specific fears that absolutely paralyze us and stop us from ever taking real action. He calls these the 6 ghosts of fear for a reason, because they aren't real, solid obstacles. They're just phantoms haunting our minds. I mean, think about it. The fear of criticism stops you from sharing that great idea. The fear of poverty makes you play it so safe that you miss every big opportunity. Hill's point is that these fears create what he calls a failure consciousness, a mindset that, like a magnet, ends up attracting the very things we're afraid of.
This is a really powerful question to ask yourself. Seriously, when you think about that big goal you have, which one of these fears is that little voice whispering in your ear, telling you all the reasons you can't do it? Just identifying which ghost is haunting you is the first step to kicking it out and taking back control of your own story. And really, that brings us to the ultimate message of this entire book. All of these lessons, desire, persistence, overcoming fear, they all point to one single, incredibly empowering truth about you.
This is the big takeaway. The only thing in the entire universe that you have absolute, total control over is your own mind. That means all those limits you see in your career, in your bank account, in your life, they're not actually real. They are just fences that you yourself have built in your own mind. And the best part? If you built them, that means you have the power to tear them right down.
So if it's true that both poverty and riches are born from our thoughts, we'll leave you with this final question. Forget about the past, forget about all those limitations you thought you had. Right now, in this moment, what is the one definite burning desire you are going to choose to build your entire future on? Because according to Napoleon Hill, that single thought could absolutely change everything.